Hello and welcome to Drift TV. I'm your host Jesse McDonald and it's an absolute pleasure to have your company. I'll be with you over the course of the show. During the show we have drifting highlights from Queensland Raceway, Stanthorpe, Archerfield, some Drift All-Stars from the Europe and some short clips from Gympie Off-Road Short Course and Power Cruise Night. In Tech Talk, Kris Frome talks hints and tips about improving your car and your driving. In Driver DNA, we meet with international FD driver Forrset Wang, world time attack winner Michael Rosenbalt, world-class drifters Luke Fink, Josh Boettcher, Kris Frome, ADGP winner Rob White, our Hollywood Mad Max driver and drifter Eugene Artisan, Speedway champion Shane Heathcote, and we can't forget our special guest, Red Bull V8 supercar driver Shane Van Gisbergen. So there's plenty of action to keep you entertained and strapped down. It's that time of the show where we must crack on with it. I'm Jesse McDonald and you're watching Drift TV.
So I got invited to an event with D1NZ. They're having a have-a-go thing for drivers of other disciplines, and yeah, went and drove the Rattler in New Zealand, and it was crazy, good fun.
How did I get involved in drifting was just going up with my mates in my road car, you know, just drifting around the local track, you know, just pushing the limits of the car and just trying to, you know, link up that perfect lap, you know, without any straightenings or anything. So that was how it all started for me. I heard about it drifting. Initially it was on, I think it was just on TV, like SBS or something like that, and they had the Japanese just doing this crazy stuff with their cars, and that's where I really initially first saw competitive drifting, and I thought it was something very different and unusual, you know, and I really shown towards that, and I thought that I'll give it a go.
How did I get involved in drifting? I initially went to a few practice days in, I think it was 2004, with a RX-7 that I had. The reason I went there was I'd seen a few videos. Now we're talking VHS videos, so this is a while ago. And yeah, that's I guess where I saw it. I liked it, went and had a go at it. This is the days before Facebook, and we were able to find out events through forums and that sort of stuff. And yeah, I just started going and I kept going. I did more and more events, and yeah, that's sort of where it snowballed from.
How did I get involved in drifting? To be honest, that was a really bad accident. How did I get involved in drifting? To be honest, I used to go and watch it a lot in the off-season of Speedway. A couple of mates in South Australia that I know went out and crewed for them and got amongst it and realised that I wanted to do that in the off-season and to just have a go at something different. It was a challenge, so I was definitely keen.
So when I got involved in drifting, I don't even think it was called drifting back then. It was about 20 years ago. I had a friend, he was older, he had a MK2 Supra, and basically he would go off-road and he would just, you know, go in the dirt, grass, gravel, anything that would like break traction easily, and we would just slide around. He would do some donuts and like be able to like get his car sideways, and that feeling was just something that was like, it got me hooked. And then my first car ended up being a 240, only because it was rear-wheel drive. I had no idea that 240s were a good drift car. It was just, I knew it was rear-wheel drive and I could do skids with it, and that's what got me into drifting. You're watching Drift TV.
Sometimes different things can happen with you and your car, and you have to live with the car, so only it should be worked out.
One of the main things is the adrenaline buzz you get from drifting. It's just incredible and undescribable unless you've done it yourself.
You can feel that sound and everything goes out to all your body, and you can put it any gear you want and the car is just flying. I really like to push it to the limits, chase the opponents. It's an experience, like something you need to feel inside your soul, inside yourself, and that's why I do drifting.
Here on Tech Talk, the first thing we're going to talk about is steering angle on your drift car. Now, there's a lot of different options you can do with your vehicle, from basic offset rack spacers to give you an extra 5-6 degrees of lock, to moving your rack forward to get rid of binding to actually improve it from there, and modified knuckles, right up to your top of the range style, which will be either your Wise Fab or your Track Day Performance knuckle kits, where you've got full adjustability and control of how far your angle can be on your vehicle. These kits go up to about 70 degrees of lock on your car with zero Ackerman, or you actually even have Ackerman control to suit your driving. So come and check these things out, guys, and find what's good for your vehicle.
You're watching Drift TV.
Basically, a few years ago, I used to live next to a friend of mine named Rob White, and back in the day when this used to be a show car, I used to just take it to car shows and everything, and Rob, who lived 2 doors up from me, he used to drift his 350Z. Anyway, through a series of different little things, Rob used to come down to my house and try and steal my tools to take his wheels off his car at one stage. Anyway, we got talking and realized we used to go to the same events, and we ended up becoming friends. And the first couple of years I used to be a pit crew for him. We used to go to cool places like Tamworth and Moree and go around and have good times and fun. And I decided that eventually I wanted to actually get into driving, and I got my Skyline, and I changed it up from a show car, took all the stereo gear out of it, put some 18-inch rims on it, because I used to have 22s, and then basically started driving it. And then from there, it's all turned into what we have now.
I started drifting when I was 22 years old, and I'm 33 now. So yeah, I've been drifting for 11 years now. Doesn't feel like it, but I didn't even get my license till I was 22, sorry. As I said before, with the BMX background, I didn't really see any need to be on the road. So I just caught trains everywhere and saw cars at its expense, and eventually got my license when I was 22, and literally as soon as I got my license on the road, yeah, I was driving like a goose, basically, yeah. Thankfully, hoon laws weren't around back then, so I definitely had a few stern talking tos. But look, at the end of the day, that's all we had. There wasn't any drifting allowed on the track back then in Melbourne. We didn't have a circuit, so you know, that's what we had, and you know, just progressed from there, I guess. So realistically, I started when I was 22. I think it was maybe 2006, I guess. My maths isn't great, but I can lift heavy things.
Welcome back. Hope you're enjoying what you're seeing, and there's plenty more to come. I'm Jesse McDonald, and this is Drift TV.
I never was always a drifter. I was actually a rower. So I used to row for Australia, and I was a elite athlete. It doesn't look like it now, but it was. And I always enjoyed cars, but unfortunately I hurt my back doing the rowing. And one of my trips back from overseas, I came back and my friends were doing this drifting thing in the early 2000s. And I knew nothing about it, but went for a passenger lap and loved it. It was fantastic. It was like nothing else in the world. And so after that, I finally made the decision, I'll stop rowing and I'll try this drifting thing. So it just happened that my mum had an S14 at the time. So I'm like, so Mum, can I borrow your car? I'll just, you know, just Sunday drive. So I took it out here to Queensland Raceway, entered a drift comp and came second and loved it. It was fantastic. So after that, I did a few little modifications to it, and then they just kept steamrolling it. So that's pretty much where it all started. In terms of my background, guys, I'm a drifter and circuit guy, and I do a bit of stunt work. Kris here is a really excellent Uber driver. He gets everyone on time. Really good.
Oh, that's fantastic, yeah. For someone that's never done it before. Yeah, the instructors are really good. They're definitely an art to it, for sure. Yeah, definitely addictive.
You're watching Drift TV.
I think like a lot of us back in the olden days, we probably did it in the not so legal way. Not that I condone that in any way, but you know, look, it's you know, we used to have the old Commodore and get it out sideways in the rain, and that becomes addictive. And unfortunately, more than so than others, I probably took that a bit further, and next thing I ended up on a drift track and at Archerfield, in fact, in a completely standard 350Z, and we just happened to be, I guess, natural at it to an extent, and went further. And we had a car that was unique and marketable, and we sort of fell into a pretty good sponsorship deal pretty early, and the rest just snowballed from there.
In 2010, I battled Tom Monkhouse, and that was a really close battle. We had a really good entry on his chase lap. He actually tagged me a couple of times, so we were real close. And then after that, I battled Leighton Fine, and it was for him, his championship, so if I knocked him out, it was the end of his run. No, I made a mistake, so he went through, but it was really close until that mistake, and they were good, just really close, good fun battles, so I really enjoyed those ones. But most of the fun experience, like the memorable stuff, comes from not necessarily the competition battles we did. Was most of the time it was either in practice or the expression session afterwards, where we're all relaxed and we're like, hey, should we try this? Like, yeah, let's go. See how fast you can come in. Just don't crash in front of me. So some of those things were quite memorable.
Most memorable battles, probably ADGP against Bo Yates. I love running against him. You know, so many. It's hard to say. You know, like I've had so many great battles between some of me, you know, really good mates and out of towners, and probably the best one was Bo Yates. Rob White at World Time Attack. That was great. Yeah, too many to count. You know.
So, do you have any memorable battles drifting at all? I suppose you just...
Yeah, not really. Just the fun days are the best. Like, I enjoyed the competition, but you know, it's kind of serious. That's not why I do it. And yeah, well, just the practice days and that, and days like this is way more fun, I reckon.
Memorable battle. Yeah, that would have been when I was down at Calder Park. When I did this ADGP, I've always watched Bo Yates drift on TV, and I always thought there's got to be one day that I can get a chance to, you know, to have a drift with him, and that opportunity come, and yeah, no, it was definitely quite a close battle, but that's something that I'll never forget.
You're watching Drift TV.
What I say to everyone, you got to be looking at the roundabouts. Once that roundabout, you're driving around, stops being in the in the side window, and ends up being in that corner there, that's when you catch the wheel and then accelerate harder as you turn towards it to move around.
Interested in getting into drifting, I'd say at least go out for a passenger run, make sure that you want to do it, or come up to One Track Drift and we can shove you in a car. You can spend a day with us. If you love it, fantastic, go ahead with it. And then buy a nice cheap car and just practice with it. You don't need big horsepower, you don't need big power or anything like that. Just something nice and simple. Now it's time to get you in the car, right? Yeah, let's do it. See you soon.
We've had lots of great fun. We've been doing it for about 6 years now. We've never had an accident. We want to try and keep it that way. Maybe your door and your Jesus bar. Is that cool?
So here in drift school, we enter in like this, and then we drift like this, and then we stick it around. We're not trying to get nice and close.
Welcome back, and it's that time of the show again where we say goodbye. And remember to visit www.drifttv.com.au. Have a look around our site where we have highlights of drifting, and as well visit our shop where we have t-shirts and some caps you can get and style out. Well, that's all we have for you tonight. It was a pleasure having your company. I'm Jesse McDonald, and this is Drift TV.
Yeah, I might need a push.